It's TheFrXion here, or TaggyTang12. However you call me, I don't really care. Welcome back to War Thunder, where we're today not playing World of Tanks, but we're playing some War Thunder. And we're playing a pretty crazy lineup of lower BR. Don't worry, I do have other vehicles, and I'm not just making War Thunder content because I deem it to be like very successful. I actually do have a few games played in this game. Let me just see real fast so I can show you my profile. So that you believe me, you can see I'm a level 100 Marshal. But I usually play more air realistic than ground realistic, even though I am currently with Russia and with Germany at like battle rating 10.7, and I do enjoy the new tanks, especially post Cold War, post World War II tanks. I do enjoy them a lot. But I think that I've enjoyed War Thunder in the last couple of weeks more than World of Tanks, and it's shown with the Sturmtiger. Right there, we get like two lions for capping this objective, but we're playing a tank which is extremely unique in my opinion, and it's really nice to see that it's in the tech tree. And it's actually not a premium tank. It's the BT-42, which is a BT-7 at rank 1.7, and it has a huge 114 millimeter howitzer gun, and it fires high explosive. 25 millimeters of penetration, but the pressure or the overpressure should take care of most targets that we shoot directly at. We're playing on Eastern Europe on, I'm not sure, is this a map called Eastern Europe, but this map is pretty well known. Okay, right there, Panzer IV drives out in the open, gets absolutely obliterated by an M3 Stewart, and we have an anti-air next to us. It's the L62, which is like one of the most fascinating things in this game, that you can actually use your coaxial machine guns, and that you actually can use like autocannons. That's like a lot of fun. Right there, we actually hit that Japanese autoloader, but I have a huge problem. Somebody needs to help me with firefighting because I have no firefighting. Oh boy. Somebody needs to help me with firefighting. I think we're gonna burn out here. That's sadly one of the worst ways to go in World of Tanks or War Thunder, and that is when your tank gets hit and you don't have a fire extinguisher. But somebody, look at that, a little BT-42 is maybe helping me. I'm not entirely sure, but he might be using me as cover. Yeah. I thought he was going to be helping me out, but turns out he was just covering behind me. But we're actually getting into the PVLVVFM42, which is basically just like the tank's hull without a turret and a little autocannon on top. And I think we spot something over there in the bushes, and it's a Panzer IV. Now the issue for us, or the problem for us, is that we only have 42 millimeters of penetration, and I know that if it's a Panzer IV, well, he has a little bit of a problem with sight adjustment. He will have quite sturdy frontal armor. Now, especially at this distance, there's also a little bit of penetration drop-off. So we'll have to look into that. But there is a plane coming in, as you can see right there. Oh man, I enjoy playing War Thunder. I actually only have one magazine remaining. As you can see, 8 rounds and one more clip. So I definitely have to be extremely cautious with how much ammo I spend. So I'll guess I'll have to cross through here, even though this Panzer IV is kind of spawn trapping us, which is... Or it's a Panzer IV. Is it a Panzer IV or a Panzer III? Either way, it's one of the worst things about War Thunder, and that is the spawn trapping. Your spawns, since there are like several vehicles, since you can actually spawn as long as you have these points that you can use, people do tend to spawn trap, and since in realistic you actually don't have any indicators where targets actually are, unless they are really close to the spawn, like that light tank is over there, you don't really know where they are. But we're gonna be reloading real fast here on this capture point to get some ammunition, because there are several things that we want to engage. There is a little biplane that is making quite a fuss. And this is just the beauty, you know, combined warfare or mixed games. That is just really, really cool to have. That's something that we, when we play World of Tanks, we just don't have. We get a hit, but no crit, so that's not going to help us a whole bunch. And just destroying everything is always, it's always great fun. So there's this little M3, the Steward, and as you can see right there, the 42 millimeters that we have is enough. The only issue is this is like a armor belt, or it's a magazine that feeds this machine gun, this machine cannon, and the issue is that you have 1 round of APT, armor piercing tracer shell, and 2 shells of high explosive fragmentation incendiary tracer shell. So these shells are basically meant to, or you're meant to fire at planes with this kind of ammunition, and not at tanks, because only every 3rd shot will actually be an armor piercing shot. So not having the armor piercing option means that you can only engage targets that have basically no armor, so you know, half tracks, things like that. But we're just gonna move into B right now. I think it looks pretty clear. They do have a Panzer IV somewhere over there. We spot 2 tanks. It is a Panzer IV, but we are not going to be able to touch that. There was a Russian tank though following it, and we just saw this little biplane go down right next to us. Now remember, we don't have a lot of ammo, and we don't have the best amount of penetration, but what we can do here in this situation is we can set up an ambush, because our rate of fire is going to be quite a bit higher than the enemy's rate of fire. But if they do manage to hit us, it's basically game over for us. Now, this little tank here, the funny thing about it is that it's an open top, as you can see. So machine guns, basically anything that fires bullets is going to be able to kill our little person in here. And right there is actually a BT-7, or is it a BT-2? As you can see, only every 3rd round goes through. We managed to kill the BT-7M, but we have another issue, and it's actually the Panzer IV with the short barrel 75mm howitzer gun. Somebody is capping B right now, and as you can see, it's a Crusader. Oh no, don't do it. I think his gunner is dead, his gunner and his loader, so right there we kill his gunner, we kill his loader, and we killed his driver. So what we're going to be doing here as well is we're going to engage that plane, even though it's like the last 19 rounds that we had remaining. We're going to be going back to B, and we're going to capture that point, even though there's a tank coming right in, because we're out of ammo. I think we could be switching over to Jacobi's J8. I don't think it has any bombs, but we can probably do a bit of damage with those 8mm guns that the Swedes have, and the Valentine knocks us out. Yeah, there was no chance in hell that we would ever be able to actually do damage to a Valentine. But let's see, Jacobi and some armor penetrating rounds. We're gonna be spawning in a plane, and maybe we're gonna have some dogfights with it. But this is like the really cool aspect of War Thunder, this combined arms, and also that any kind of weapon type works. So when you have machine guns, they usually work. When you have coaxial machine guns, they work. When you have bloody grenade launchers on top of your tank, they work. when you have ATGMs that you can fire off from designated launchers, such as Milan launchers or Milan rockets, or the concourse, you're going to be able to use them, and that's a really cool, novel kind of feature that we in World of Tanks usually only see as some kind of as a little detail that you can look at, which is quite neat, but it's not a gameplay mechanic. Now, every little one of those things actually is a little bit of a problem, or can have good and bad effects on the game's health. But generally speaking, I think that the game benefits a lot more from having like the variety of different mechanics and different weapon types. So right there you can see we actually hit a BT7, I think, in the engine deck. Engine decks usually are the least armored, and that's usually where we are going to be able to set a fire if we do hit those tanks. And since these vehicles in the early stage of the war are very lightly armored, even like 8mm guns, which are quite small caliber, do tend to have an effect on certain targets. Especially if it's an open-top vehicle. I think this is a... Is that an anti-air? It's an Italian autoloader tank, but yeah, that's a bit too tough because it has more than 8mm gun impression, 8mm of armor. But at the same time, every single time you actually shoot a tank in your plane from above, you do usually spot it for your team, which is a very, very valuable information to have, especially when games do drag on a bit longer. And I have to be honest, I haven't played low tiers like these in quite a while, so it's a breath of fresh air to be playing low tiers again, because in World of Tanks I just don't feel like I should be touching low tiers at all, because if I play low tiers, I usually have the feeling that it doesn't end well. And even here, like look at this little steward. This steward is actually hitting us with his coaxial machine gun, and he's doing quite a bit of damage. The Buffalo, or their B239, I'm not sure if it's the Buffalo, just exploded because like his flight path was absolutely mad. So yeah, when you're playing ground BR or ground realistic, you have to be cautious, because the planes still act the same exact way as they would in air realistic, so it's the same rules that apply right here. Oh, look at that. Always looks so awesome when different kind of planes, pass one another. And we're flying so slow, we're an easy target for that Italian anti-air. But we're actually going to be taking care of him, because it's an open-top vehicle, and you can see no chance. Once I get my 8mm guns on target, 4 of them, yeah, he's not going to be alive for much longer. But since we have like so many holes in our plane, which looks really cool, by the way, I always liked this Jacobi variant that they had. That's why I bought it like when it was really cheap. It has a lot of holes in the structure of the plane, and that means that our flight characteristics are quite terrible. Now, I know War Thunder, it's a bit special, and I just, this video here, this is not, this is a love letter to both War Thunder and World of Tanks, because I think both games have their strengths, and they cannot be compared in certain aspects, because they do kind of speak to different player types. And to be fair, I always didn't really want to get too invested in War Thunder, except for the planes. I did get very invested into the planes, and I do have quite a few top tier planes. But the issue is that with War Thunder, with tanks, it was just too much a grind for me personally, so I usually didn't really invest too much time into it. So we win this game, we have a bomber flying above us, a Wellington actually, that's quite funny, Wellington dropping bombs and actually killing quite a few tanks in that circle there. Yeah, but War Thunder, don't worry, it's not going to be the main focal point on this channel. It's a little bit of a side project so that I don't get burned out when I play World of Tanks either. I like to play both of these games. I enjoy them quite a large deal, and I think both of them are very unique in their own way. They all have their pros and cons, and sadly, both are not always very consumer friendly. But yeah, you can see that I'm currently working on the tanks as well, and I'm going to be super stoked when I actually get my hands on the M247 because this tank has 40 millimeter auto cannons. And the very funny thing is, I think these are Bofors, if I'm not wrong. This tank now has some very interesting shells. The shells that we want to talk about is the fuse delay shell. And when you shoot someone with this fuse delay shell, it actually does kill them with overpressure. And it has been quite the crazy Soviet tank killer in the game. So that's going to be very funny when I get this tank. But still, a little bit of a grind to do 180,000. That's not something you do in a day or two. War Thunder is a lot worse with the grinds than World of Tanks, especially even if you have premium. As you can see, I have 233 days of premium remaining, and yeah, so that's quite a long journey ahead. Well, either way, I hope you guys did enjoy this War Thunder intermezzo, just a little War Thunder content. I'm going to be playing War Thunder and World of Tanks, and there's going to be more War Thunder and World of Tanks content. I'm currently working on the right here, the Sturmmörser or the Sturmtiger, and I'm certainly going to get my hands on this tank when I can. So look forward to that. There's going to be a little bit of a compilation with the Sturmmörser, the Sturmtiger, because it's just such a funny tank, and I'm looking forward to it. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, have a good one.